I still remember the sound of that morning. The streets were waking slowly beneath the pale light of dawn. Merchants arranged their baskets. Children laughed in distant corners of the marketplace. Life moved as it always had in our little town beside the sea.
Quickly now, we need to leave by noon.
And yet inside my house, death was waiting. My name is Jairus. Many knew me as a ruler of the synagogue, a respected man, a teacher of the law, a father with honor in the eyes of the people. But titles become meaningless when your child cannot breathe.
My daughter. Even now, when I close my eyes, I still see her as she once was, running through the courtyard with sunlight tangled in her hair. Her laughter sounded like music dancing against stone walls. She would hold my hand when we walked to the synagogue, asking endless questions about God. "Father," she once asked me, "does God hear little girls when they whisper?" I smiled and told her, "He hears every whisper." But when sickness came upon her, I began to wonder if heaven had grown silent. It started with a fever, small at first, nothing frightening. We called for rest, cool water, herbs. Her mother sat beside her through the night, wiping sweat from her forehead. But the fever rose higher. Day after day, her strength faded like a candle shrinking in darkness. Her voice became weak. Her tiny fingers trembled when she reached for mine. And I was helpless. Do you know what it feels like for a father to watch suffering and be unable to stop it? I had prayed all my life. I had read sacred words aloud before crowds. I had instructed others to trust God. Yet beside my daughter's bed, my faith felt small and fragile. Every night I whispered desperate prayers into the darkness. Please, not her. But heaven remained quiet.
People often imagine that religious men are always strong. They think we never fear, never doubt, never break. They are wrong. I broke the night she looked at me with tired eyes and whispered, "Father, am I going to die?" I could not answer her. My throat closed with grief, so I simply kissed her forehead and turned away so she would not see me cry. That night, I sat outside beneath the cold stars. I remember hearing dogs barking in distant alleys while the wind carried the smell of the sea. When I asked God a question I was ashamed to speak aloud. Why would you give me such love? Then came the rumors. A teacher from Nazareth, a man called Jesus Christ. Some said he healed the blind. Others claimed demons fled at his command. Fishermen left their nets to follow him. Crowds gathered wherever he walked. I had heard the debates in the synagogue. Some admired him. Others hated him. Many feared what he represented. And I did not know what to believe. But when your child is dying, pride becomes a very small thing. That morning, her breathing grew shallow. Her mother clung to me, trembling. "Please," she whispered, "do something." So I ran. I, Jairus, the respected ruler of the synagogue, ran through crowded streets like a desperate beggar. I pushed through people calling his name, and then I saw him. Jesus stood surrounded by crowds near the shore, faces pressed around him from every side, sick people reaching, mothers crying, men shouting questions. For a moment, I froze. What if he refused me? What if it was already too late? But then I thought of my daughter lying pale upon her bed, and suddenly, dignity no longer mattered. I fell at his feet. Imagine that scene. A synagogue ruler kneeling in dust before a wandering teacher, my robes stained with dirt, my voice shaking before hundreds of watching eyes.
Please, I begged him. My little daughter is dying. Come and lay your hands on her so she may live. I expected hesitation. Instead, he looked at me with eyes full of compassion. No judgment, no pride, no anger, only love. And he came with me. Hope rose inside my chest for the first time in many days. I walked quickly through the streets, urging him forward. But the crowd slowed us. People pressed around him constantly. Then suddenly, he stopped. I remember the panic that exploded inside me. Not now. Please, not now.
A woman had touched him in the crowd. He paused to speak with her while every second felt like fire burning through my soul. My daughter was dying. Could he not hurry? I wanted to scream. And then they came. Men from my house. I saw their faces before they even spoke. Pale, broken. One of them placed a trembling hand upon my shoulder. "Your daughter is dead," he said softly. "Do not trouble the teacher anymore." Dead. It is a small word, only 4 letters. Yet it can destroy an entire world. I felt the ground disappear beneath me. Everything around me became distant. The crowd, the voices, the wind. I heard my wife crying somewhere in my memory. I saw my daughter's empty bed waiting in silence. I was too late. I had failed her. If only I had come sooner. If only I had believed faster. If only... Then I heard his voice. "Do not be afraid. Only believe." I looked at him through tears I could no longer hide. How could he ask me to believe when death had already won? But there was something in his eyes, something stronger than despair. So I kept walking. When we arrived at my house, mourners had already gathered. Flutes played funeral songs. People wept loudly in the courtyard. Death has a sound. It is chaos, crying, emptiness echoing through walls once filled with laughter. Jesus entered the house and said words that seemed impossible. "The child is not dead, but sleeping." They laughed at him. Laughed, because death looked final to them. To be honest, it looked final to me too. Then he sent them outside. Only a few remained, his closest disciples, my wife and me. The room was dim. My daughter lay motionless upon the bed, her skin cold, her eyes closed. I remember standing beside the doorway, unable to breathe. Every hope inside me was afraid to rise again. Jesus walked to her slowly. No fear, no panic, only peace. Then he took her hand. Such a small hand. I had held that hand when she first learned to walk. I had held it crossing crowded streets. I had held it during prayers at night. And now Jesus held it too. Then he spoke softly. "Little girl, arise." Silence. 1 heartbeat. 2. Then suddenly, her fingers moved. Her eyes opened. Breath returned to her lungs. Color rushed back into her face. And my daughter sat up. Alive. Alive. No father can describe such a moment completely. Human words are too small for miracles. My wife collapsed in tears beside me. I could barely stand. I remember laughing and crying at the same time, like a man pulled from drowning waters. My little girl looked around the room, confused by our tears. And Jesus, he simply smiled and told us to give her something to eat.
Years have passed since that day. Many still remember me as the synagogue ruler whose daughter was healed. But that miracle was not the greatest thing Jesus restored in me. He restored my heart. Before that day, I believed faith was certainty, strength, religious knowledge. But I learned faith is sometimes nothing more than falling at God's feet with trembling hands and tears in your eyes. I learned that miracles often begin where pride finally ends. And I learned something else. Jesus did not only raise my daughter from death, he raised me too. Because before I met him, I was alive in body but dying in spirit. Bound by fear, by appearances, by the desperate need to seem strong before others. But grief stripped all of that away. And there, in my brokenness, I found him. Or perhaps he found me. Sometimes I still remember the terror of that day, the helplessness, the crushing grief, the sound of mourners outside my house. But stronger than those memories is another one. The image of Jesus taking my daughter's hand. That moment changed everything. Because if he could speak life into my dead child, then no darkness is truly hopeless. Not grief, not fear, not regret, not even death itself.
In the silence of the midnight air, Jairus knelt in deep despair. Tiny hands growing cold as stone, praying tears when hope was gone. Candles shaking in the dark, fear was breaking Jairus' heart. Heaven felt so far away as death slowly called her name. But through the crowd, through all the pain, a whisper rose like falling rain. Oh, Jairus, don't lose faith tonight. Even in the shadow, there is light. When your whole world falls apart, mercy still can find your heart. Oh, Jairus, hear heaven call. Love can rise beyond it all. And when hope feels far away, Jesus still can make a way. Dusty roads beneath his feet,